Rain mists my window, a lamp glows within. There will be poems now. Hey Anya, so this week you challenged me to find you a haiku, which was a really interesting challenge because I feel like haiku is one of those forms we all learn about pretty early on because, anyone can count out 5 syllables and then 7 syllables and then 5 syllables, right? Easy peasy, like nothing to it. Well, surprise, surprise, turns out there's actually more to the haiku than that. According to my research, haikus actually don't have to be 5 syllables and then 7 syllables and then 5 syllables. Since the haiku is a Japanese form, I mean, it sounds so obvious when you say it, but the haiku is a Japanese form, and actually in Japanese, it's not measured in syllables at all. That's just a thing that English does to approximate the Japanese form, but in Japanese, haikus are actually counted in breaths, which is kind of awesome, and you're meant to be able to say the whole haiku in one breath. So actually, a lot of the lines in these sort of old school haikus are much shorter than the 5-7-5 format that we're used to, which is kind of a cool thing. I didn't know, but it sounds so obvious. I mean, it's a Japanese form, so why would it be counted in English syllables? Other characteristics of the haiku. Haikus often consist of 2 images which are juxtaposed in an interesting or unusual way, and one of those images is often a nature image, hence the flowers, mountains, moon kind of haikus that we're all familiar with. The first haiku is by Murakami Kijo. First autumn morning, the mirror I stare into shows my father's face. It's a really cool illustration of the things we were talking about, the 2 images juxtaposed in an interesting way, and one of them's a nature image. And of course, I mean, you can't write a poem from a checklist, or can you? It has to be more than the sum of its parts. But yeah, a really lovely little poem gets something really bittersweet. The second haiku is by Masaoaka Shiiki. And it's a little bit happier. It goes, "Consider me as one who loved poetry and persimmons." And I love this poem because the first line, "Consider me," is actually, there's something kind of elegiac about it. The poet is telling you how he wants to be remembered. And yeah, poetry is also kind of a somber activity. It's serious, it's focused on the past a lot of the time because you have your legacy of, your literary legacy to live up to or whatever, so consider me as someone who loved poetry and persimmons. And then the persimmons just come in with their little bit of color and their liveliness, and yeah, there's such a nice little surprise at the end of that. The first 2 lines make you feel like, yeah, sort of in a somber and elegiac mood, and then the persimmons just come up and give you that little bit of life, which is really cool. So that was a cool challenge. I feel like I learned a lot, so thank you for that. As you know, next week is Christmas, and we are doing an extra special edition of Poetry Project, Paraphrase Edition. So as we discussed, your challenge for next week is to choose your own poem by any poet in any style of your choice, and yeah, paraphrase it for me. I'm excited to see what you come up with, and I'll see you next Thursday.